Does arresting or fining an unhoused person for camping on public property amount to cruel and unusual punishment? That was the question before the U.S. Supreme Court justices today. And their decision, which is expected in June, could have a huge impact on how California can address our homelessness crisis. Rebecca Hobegger is following this case and spoke with some of our unhoused neighbors today about the possible impact.
House keys, not handcuffs! House keys, not handcuffs!
Advocates for the unhoused gathered outside the federal courthouse in Sacramento Monday afternoon, urging the U.S. Supreme Court to uphold existing protections for people experiencing homelessness, like J-Cat, who also goes by Liz and is currently unhoused in Natomas.
It's a vicious cycle. It's hard when you become homeless to try to get back on your feet.
Currently, a pair of decisions by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals bans local and state governments within its jurisdiction, including California, from arresting or fining unhoused people for camping and sleeping on public property.
Sweeps kill, wherever they go!
Rallies like this happened in more than a dozen cities all across the nation Monday as the U.S. Supreme Court heard oral arguments in the biggest case about homelessness in decades. They're deciding whether to uphold those decisions by the Ninth Circuit, starting with the 2018 decision Martin v. Boise and expanding it with the 2022 Grants Pass v. Johnson decision. The appellate court has said it is unconstitutional for a city, county, or state to fine or criminally charge someone for camping in a public space when they have nowhere else to go. The court saying it violates the Eighth Amendment ban of cruel and unusual punishment. Now, advocates say such citations criminalize homelessness.
You can't jail and arrest people, disappear people, erase people because they have no money.
But critics like Governor Gavin Newsom say the Grants Pass and Boise decisions tie the hands of local and state leaders when it comes to addressing homelessness.
The impediments under Grants Pass in the courts have imposed, it's a real issue.
He and Sacramento County District Attorney Tian Ho, who attended the Supreme Court hearing, are among the people and groups asking the Supreme Court to reverse the Ninth Circuit ruling. Ho saying it has worsened our unhoused crisis. During Monday's arguments, we heard justices ask attorneys about the scope of what reversing the decision could mean.
Where do we put them if every city, every village, every town lacks compassion and passes a law identical to this?
Ultimately, local advocates for the unhoused, like Crystal Sanchez, say whatever the high court's ruling, communities desperately need more housing.
Martin versus Boise basically covers the fact that they can't move people in public spaces without adequate shelter. We don't have shelter. We have a wait list here in Sacramento of over 2,500 people.
A lot to unpack for this ongoing conversation. Again, Becca has been following this. As we mentioned, that court's decision expected in June. But what are the possible outcomes?
Yeah, I spoke with a legal expert at University of the Pacific's McGeorge School of Law, Ron Hochbaum. He laid out the three most likely potential outcomes. The one, justices could uphold the lower court decision, which he said could incentivize states to focus more on housing solutions. Two, the Supreme Court could overturn the precedent in Martin v. Boise and say, we think camping bans do not, in fact, violate the Eighth Amendment. And now a third option is something the U.S. government is recommending in this case, that local and state governments have the flexibility to respond on a case-by-case basis. So say maybe one person truly has nowhere else to go, so they wouldn't be fined or charged, whereas someone else camping might have other options they're not choosing.
This argument is designed to allow cities that have open shelter beds to enforce the anti-homeless laws, because some courts were interpreting Martin v. Boise to mean that if the number of unhoused people exceeds the number of shelter beds in a given city or county, the laws were totally unenforceable.
Lots of moving parts.
Yeah, and a big conversation. So you already know we will continue to follow this. Becca, thank you so much for the update. We appreciate it.